Welcome to Breaking Initiative. Don't forget, like and subscribe on YouTube for us, and Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you're listening on your dome head into the ears. We're there as well. My name is Brett.
And I'm Rob. Thank you for joining us. This is a show where we break down our own tips and tricks to help you get the most out of your tabletop games. We share some of our favorite tools from around the community, discuss our past experiences, as well as new things that are currently happening with the hobby. That's right. This is a show about two white guys talking about Dungeons and Dragons. That's what it comes down to.
You can't say that.
It's never been done, Brett. Brett, we're breaking new ground here.
No, we're not. We literally blended with everybody else. We got our own stuff. Going. What are we talking about today?
Well, that's the thing. I wanted to kind of turn this back around on you. I'm going to ask you some questions. First of all, I hear a rumor that you are a big Critical Role fan.
I'm like a huge Critical Role fan.
Right.
I basically have listened to the first campaign. Or no, I listened to half of the first campaign. But really, I started doing that while I've been caught up on the second campaign. So whenever I get completely caught up and I'm like, I got to get my D&D fix, I'll then go catch up wherever the heck I am at on the first one. And so as of right now, I'm listening to the Talks Machina, the most recent Talks Machina. Then I'll start watching the newest episode. But so I am considered one episode behind. But that's pretty caught up. I don't listen to it live.
It's coming on Thursday, right? That's a thing I know. It's
What's
coming
that?
on Thursday. The last episode's Thursday of this campaign, right? As of this recording, it has the last episode.
Wait, hold on. Breaking news. To me, I didn't know the last episode is this Thursday?
Yeah.
I just thought it was wrapping up eventually. I didn't hear about this.
You didn't hear about this?
No. Oh, gosh. Genuine response.
I know these things because I happen to also be a huge Critical Role fan. And by that, I mean I've seen 2 episodes, the first and the second episode of the second campaign.
You mean you've seen 8 hours of D&D footage?
I loved that footage.
Yep.
I'm a little behind, and I'm hoping you can catch me up.
Yeah.
Because what we got coming up here is what I like to call the D&D Olympics, something that only happens a few times a year, once every few years, rather, is that the end of one of these campaigns is happening, and it seems to be a big deal with the community. And I never watched this thing, and I'm going to watch it. It's like going to watching the Super Bowl. I don't watch football either.
You're going to watch the last episode, and that's it?
Oh, yeah. I'm excited.
Live?
Yeah. Go watch it live.
What? Do we watch it together live?
Is this a thing?
Okay.
Did we just become best friends?
Did we just become best friends? Stripes. That's a dumb inside joke for my wife. 2 college students just wearing striped shirts, and they just become best friends because they wear striped shirts. Anyways, moving on. What do you got for me?
So I actually have a new second question.
What's that?
What the hell is Talks Machina?
So Talks Machina, wow, you don't know what Talks Machina is. Talks Machina comes out every other week. It used to come out, I believe, every week. But after the episode, they would then do a with Brian W. Foster, right, and 2 of the characters. Two. Sometimes it would be Matt, the DM. Sometimes it would be 2 players. A lot of times it's focused around whoever the episode is focused around before. They would get them on. I mean, it's all the same studio. It's all Critical Role. Right. And Brian W. Foster, super funny dude. Freaking love that guy. He asks questions from the as people send in questions, and then he do all kinds of fun stuff like cosplay, fan art. They used to do what's called Give of the Week, which Sam Riegel always would make fun of. Yeah. All inside jokes, Rob. You don't know these
things. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, and so no, but so like actually like photographers or people that actually spend a bunch of money on cosplay. They would actually, they'll give prizes. They'll have like somebody who does like cosplay of the week. So it's like they actually gave prizes out live, not live, but, as people submitted orders and things like that. And same thing with like art. People draw awesome art and they'll be like, yes, they love their art. They love their fans.
Wait. This is like that.
This is like Talking Dead.
Yeah, like Talking Dead. I was going to say.
Like Talking Dead from Walking Dead, they came out with Talks Machina. Same exact kind of concept. It's amazing. I love it.
It's now clicked. All right. Got it.
Sometimes you would get like extra details that you did not. We were like, oh, like if Matt's ever on, you would get every once in a while. You would kind of not really like future spoilers, nothing like that. Like, oh, I'm going to spoil something later on, but maybe something that they have already passed, like either some sort of room or dungeon or whoever they were talking to. And I was like, yep, that was I had a whole backstory for that character, and they just completely ignored him. And there was this whole, extra side quest or main quest they could have went on, but they didn't do it. So you kind of learn a little more of the inside stuff. It's good. I love it. I love it.
So, what would you say? Have you learned? Like, we started playing before there was really Critical Role. It was like just you being really excited to play. This is like back in 4th edition. You were just excited to play.
Yeah.
And I just sold all my miniatures and was preparing myself to not play again for the rest of my life. And then, all that aside for another time. And then it was like sometime after that. I would say it was like 2 years after that was when like Critical Role became like this big thing, and suddenly people were talking about it, and the community just exploded. So at that point, moving forward, what do you think you've like learned about for D&D that you could take away from it you didn't have before that, like as anything?
So I really came in the very end, like my Critical Role stance really is campaign 2. Like I played D&D, but I played D&D with you. I didn't really go and do a lot of searching. Like I didn't constantly do things. I think it might have even been a mutual friend of ours that you work with that was like mentioned this thing, and then I checked it out and I was like, I'm in love. And I think I caught it when there was like 10 episodes. So then I started on episode 1 of campaign 2. But I didn't even watch. Again, I know what happened at the end of, campaign 1, and I listened and I looked at pretty much I have the whole spoiler, but I also listened to a lot of people's reaction of campaign 1 on the long con, the long moves, like the long game that was played, that finally played out towards the end. But yeah, I basically am full on campaign 2, been in it from the beginning. Campaign 1, not so much. Honestly, the first few episodes, the audio quality was really bad, and I'm kind of an audio quality kind of jerk.
I remember about the first campaign. I started to watch the first campaign. I'm like, what's going on with this first episode? Oh, whatever.
Because they were on Pathfinder, and then they got picked up by Geek and Sundry.
I heard about that. Yeah.
And then, so they were like, sure, you could just join us. We're not going to restart. They were already level 8.
Oh.
And so, yeah.
Okay.
And then they converted everything over from Pathfinder to 5th edition, and then they started playing because 5th edition is a little more friendlier on the idea of like, it's not so, I guess there's not so critical rules of many numbers and plus, minus, minus, plus, 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 minus, plus, and all these kind of things. And to be honest with you, I don't know anything about Pathfinder. That's just what I heard, that they said that was easier. I have no opinion of Pathfinder, by the way, just to clear that up.
That's right, yeah, you started playing with me when it was 4th edition. So
I started playing with you when it was 4th edition, and pretty much I didn't really tap into the media side of things except until campaign 2 pretty much started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? So I'm diving in. I'm in on all the things.
As far as I haven't really been I had a huge interest in it. It's been like a few roadblocks for me.
Right.
One of them is, besides just them being so long,
right,
is that I have a hard time watching other people play Dungeons and Dragons. It's just weird. I think it's like one of these weird unpopular opinions I have. It just makes me want to play. It just makes me I'm just jealous I'm not playing. I could be playing right now.
It definitely makes you Jonesy. Where you're like, I gotta get my fix, especially after watching it. But my work I'm a photographer, real estate photographer. When I get to a property, my earpods go in, you know what I mean? Earbuds go in, and then whenever I'm working, I'm editing photos. So those hours, I'm working. So I know I can't play, but I'm being entertained, and I definitely understand the idea of wanting to play after watching. Yeah, I get that, and I also say like not everybody has the time. Like I'm surprised how many people watch this show like live and they're up to date. Like it's a 4 hour long gap, and if you're in a different time zone, you're staying up till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes. It's crazy.
I heard, and the only reason I know any of these facts that you don't know is because I sit next to somebody who's an even bigger fan than you at work.
Right.
And he told me that it's going to be like a 6 hour episode or something for the final. And it starts at like 10 o'clock Eastern time. So.
Right. Yeah. I've caught it live a few times. Actually, let me tell you what my routine is. I will actually go on and listen to just the very beginning right before they start playing and listen to all the advertisements because Sam Riegel is hilarious, and then I'll just go and catch up. Like, because that's only like 10 minutes, so sometimes I don't have the whole 4 hours.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about was this dirty word that kind of floats around the community. My part of the community I come from, which is like the people that have been playing for a really long time, is the Mercer effect. It kind of has these negative connotations that come with it.
Yeah.
And I get it because I noticed it when this happened. I remember this moment. It was coming, and I didn't quite understand it. I heard this word "critical role," but I also heard all these other things. And there was a few groups around that time that were kind of doing their shows. I'm like, okay, some people are doing that. That's neat. And I never really, like I was saying before, I never really got into it, but. Then suddenly something started happening where people started asking me, how do you want to finish this? How do you want to do this? Right when they're finishing up like in the last fight, they were like waiting for me to say that. They're like, so like, is this the part where like did that kill him? How do I do this? Like I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? I'm the DM. You don't tell me what to DM you at. But no, so.
Listen, no, I was going to say, there's pros and cons to the Mercer effect that we could say. First off, let's just get it all out there. D&D is going crazy now, not just because of Critical Role, but Penny Arcade, you have Adventure Zone, you have... whoever else that's out there playing the D&D.
I also haven't watched. Yes,
where every one of those groups of every one of those people that are playing D&D basically as a profession, they have fans that don't even play. They just watch and listen.
That's
now,
insane.
Critical Role, I know. Critical Role literally has probably, I'm guessing, the highest based off of their Kickstarter campaign and subscribers. But yeah, so. There is definitely a perk and a boom and something that is very good for the industry. So the cons is it does add pressure, possibly
Raised
for a DM. What's that?
Raised expectations, like through the
It
roof.
raises expectations, but the problem is too, though, that's not what I would do. Like when you have to play with your group. So when I played with Rob, and this whole transition is happening, Rob, for the most part, had a group that really didn't role play too much. We almost like counseled on what we're going to do next, and there was some vague role play, nothing like Critical Role.
You would have like the designated talker who had the high charisma, of course.
Right.
They shoved out in front whenever something was happening, and he would role play, or whoever wanted to just act up and be dumb and be their character in the moment. Yeah, but you're right. And I balance that with making action and suspense happen that's outside of their actions whenever they're not role-playing. To get them moving.
Yeah, and so I was there for that transition, or for one of the biggest differences I really saw, where like I was a dumb orc, and my name was Tunk, and I talk like this, and but I was a barbarian paladin. Just, because of backstory reasons, don't ask. But I was the only one, and it was really hard for me to go, like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and play a big dumb orc and not have a voice. Like, you can't just be like, I'm the big dumb orc, I'm checking in. Like, no, it just doesn't make any sense. Right. So, I could definitely see the dynamics as you are trying to drive everybody, because you're having to fill in the dead space compared to what Matt Mercer and even what our DM does, where he just will sit back and let them go. And as he just sits back and lets them go, like he'll just sit there as they just go back and forth. And maybe whenever there's okay, we're going to do something next, then they kind of send that cue, then Matt will step in. Or if they're completely lost, they might even ask, maybe some NPC that's with them, so Matt can kind of maybe help, maybe. But that to me is the closest thing to what I've imagined D&D was, where it's like, oh, it's this cooperative role-playing where I could do whatever I want, and I get to be this thing that whatever I can be. There is pressure with that. The con is there are pressure with those things. Whenever somebody says, how do you want to do this? I choke, even though, I like improving and doing things, and Rob's really good at improving and doing things as well. But there's the pressure, but the campaign to me is so much more fun because honestly, a natural 1 is just as exciting as a natural 20 when you throw role playing involved. Not everybody has to listen. Not everybody has to be a movie star and a voice actor. Like Matt Mercer was literally in the movie Mythica. I think it was the Kevin Sorbo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's an actual actor. Like, they're established actors, and they know tone and how to be characters professionally before this game even existed. So understand that, and then to take that to a table, like, you got to listen to your you got to go along with the table, and as D&D is growing, right? Don't feel like you have to stay there if it's not if it's not a table that you want to be at, especially with online and people playing. Like, you could basically play every night somewhere new to find your spot. You can do that. But you got to say the pros of it is it feels like really cooperative storytelling. It feels like, hey, we're all just individuals. Even the DM, they're, and to remember, they're another player too, to where it's like they're
doing everything else.
Yeah, amongst everything else, they're also just they're having fun for the night as well. So we could get into the whole conversation about railroading
exactly.
and sandboxing. We don't need to do all that, but I feel like the idea of Critical Role and the Matt Mercer effect really is a huge benefit because it helps us actually storytell.
Yeah, it's helped a lot more with trying to get a character-driven story. And these are things that actually did happen, and I'm sure at other groups before, but not many of the groups I went to. That's like a brand new concept where now the characters are driving the story, not the DM's world. The characters are in the world. And even like TV shows and stuff are kind of going more in this direction. With it's more about the characters' development than it is about like just literal actions happening in the background that are driving these fantasy stories. But I think for the best takeaway for a DM to counter that effect is to really, this is just for D&D in general as a DM, you just gotta, you have to balance the players, and you're really reading them on what they want out of the game, and it's going to be wildly different for a lot of people. Unless you have a room full of actors, and they are all there to role play, And
or they want to do that. Really, this, again, more tips we could talk about later. Talking about a session 0. Yeah. In a session, learning from what a session 0 is, like, okay, your DM learns, oh, my characters, they all have voices. All the players, they all have voices. So they obviously want to role play. And whether they suck at it or not, that's what your character sheet's for. Whether you're good at something or not as a person, no, I don't have to be good at actual charismatic things. I have a high charisma score. I built them that way. That's the goal.
Perfectly fine. Hey, I just made a sorcerer. I just want him to have a high charisma. Doesn't mean I'm going to talk or be good at it. I'm going to roll dice at you, but I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. I'm not going to actually say it. And I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah.
Socially awkward nerds. That's how this game was founded.
Right. And now we just invited a few other people that are just really awkward on the opposite perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, so let's wrap this up. This was a lot of fun. We'll probably catch the episode, maybe even live together. Me and you will watch it live.
Yeah,
What's not going to
be
Thursday
live
here?
We're going to watch it adjacent to each other physically or remotely. We're going to watch it.
Sounds amazing. I did not know this. This is so crazy to me that this is happening. Anyways, yes, again, guys, like, subscribe on the YouTubes. Thanks. Apple Podcast, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you find the thing that goes in your ear and you're listening it for a long time, or if you listen into the car, we are most likely there. We appreciate it, and thank you. Rob, you want to wrap it up too?
Yeah. Thanks for watching. We'll see you when we see you.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you when we see you.